One of the most profound things I've learned over the last decade is that the quantum model of reality teaches us that our thoughts have a tangible, real-world effect on our lives. According to this model, every thought you think emits a signal into the quantum field, a field that exists beyond the material world we see around us. This field is a realm of infinite possibilities where every potential reality already exists. Your thoughts act like a tuning fork, sending out vibrations that attract similar frequencies back into your life. If you maintain a high vibrational state, feelings of love, gratitude, and joy, you align yourself with those positive possibilities in the quantum field, drawing them toward you like a magnet. But here's the catch: this only works if you can maintain that elevated state of mind. The challenge comes when you find yourself slipping into lower vibrational states, which are often rooted in emotional addictions. These emotional addictions are those familiar feelings: stress, frustration, resentment, anger, and the habitual patterns of daily life that have become so ingrained in our nervous system that they feel normal to us. When you're caught up in these emotions, you effectively surrender the creative power of your thoughts. You shift from a state of creation to a state of reaction. I've been there myself. Despite knowing all this intellectually, I've had moments where life threw me curveballs: problems with staff, overwhelming schedules, sheer exhaustion, and before I knew it, I was sinking into a sea of emotions that kept me locked in mediocrity. I traded the elevated, creative states of mind for a lower vibrational state, one rooted in survival rather than creation. In those moments, it felt as if I had put blinders on my vision. I became so absorbed in my emotional reactions that I couldn't see beyond the immediate circumstances of my life. It was as if I was looking at my life through a narrow, foggy lens, unable to perceive the vast field of possibilities that was right in front of me. Why does this happen? It's because emotions are records of the past. They are the result of past experiences, events that have left their mark on your nervous system. When you're stuck in those emotions, you're not living in the present, nor are you creating a future. You are simply replaying the past over and over again. You're essentially trying to view the future through the lens of your past, and this severely limits your ability to see beyond what you already know. I think about it: how many times have you found yourself in this loop, feeling trapped in the same cycle of worry, fear, doubt, or frustration? You might wake up with the best of intentions, telling yourself that today will be different, only to find yourself reacting in the same ways to the same triggers. It's as if you're reliving the same day over and over again, not because the world around you isn't changing, but because you are not changing. You're seeing life not as it is, but as you are. You're viewing your present and your future through the filter of your past experiences, beliefs, and emotions. This is a common human experience. You're not alone in this struggle. We all have these emotional addictions that keep us bound to a familiar but limiting reality. The stress of daily life, the habitual reactions, the subconscious beliefs, all of these can trap us in a feedback loop where our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors become repetitive and predictable. But this very cycle is what keeps us from tapping into the quantum field of infinite possibilities. When we are emotionally tied to our past, we limit our future. Our emotions act like a gravitational pull, anchoring us to the same patterns of thinking and behaving that have defined our lives up to this point. To break free from this cycle, you need to recognize that your emotions are not just fleeting reactions. They are deeply wired programs that have been reinforced over time. They have become the default settings of your mind and body. Every time you react to a situation in the same old way, whether it's getting angry at a colleague, feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list, or falling into self-doubt, you strengthen those neural pathways in your brain. It's like adding layers of reinforcement to the chains that keep you bound to the same reality. However, once you understand this dynamic, you also realize that you have the power to change it. You can choose to step out of this emotional loop and into a higher state of mind where you are no longer reacting to life but creating it. You can start to see your emotions for what they truly are: echoes of the past that do not have to define your present or your future. By becoming aware of these emotional addictions and how they operate, you begin to take the first step toward freeing yourself from their grip. This is not to say that it's easy. The pull of these emotions can be incredibly strong, especially when they have been your companions for so long. They can make it difficult to see the infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field because they narrow your focus to what is known, what is familiar. But by acknowledging this process, by becoming conscious of how you are emotionally viewing your future through the lens of your past, you start to create space for change. You open the door to new possibilities that were previously obscured by the fog of your emotional state. The beauty of the quantum model is that it reminds us that we are not victims of our circumstances. We are powerful creators of our reality. Our thoughts, when aligned with elevated emotions, can break the chains of the past and open the door to a new future. When you stop trading your power for the familiar comfort of emotional addictions, you begin to step into a realm of limitless potential. And that is where true transformation begins. This realization struck me not just in the quiet moments of meditation, but in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It wasn't a revelation that came while I was alone in contemplation, away from distractions. No, it hit me right in the midst of activity when I was deeply engaged in the flow of life. I remember one particular instance when I was at an event in Los Angeles. I was setting up my computer, getting ready to speak to a large audience. The room was filled with energy, the kind of anticipation that fills the air before a talk. As I was preparing, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a woman marching purposefully toward me. There was an intensity in her stride that told me she had something on her mind, and she wasn't going to hold back. Without hesitation, she blurted out, "Why am I not living in Santa Fe, New Mexico?" It wasn't a question that required deep introspection or analysis. I could see it plainly in her demeanor, in her energy, in the way she carried herself. So I paused and looked at her directly. The answer was simple and straightforward, because the personality of the person who lives in Santa Fe looks nothing like the one standing in front of me the moment those words left my mouth. A silence hung in the air. I could see the gears turning in her mind as she processed what I had said. It was a truth that cut straight to the core of her being. You see, it's not just about wanting a different life, a new set of circumstances, or a change of environment. The life you desire requires a different version of you. It demands that you transform into the person who is capable of living that life. This isn't just a change of scenery or a shift in external conditions. It requires you to break free from the emotional patterns that have been defining your current reality. These patterns are ingrained in your personality, in the way you think, feel, and act every single day. The woman standing before me was carrying the energy of someone who was still tethered to her past, bound by the same thoughts, the same emotions, and the same habits that had created her current situation. The version of her that was living in Santa Fe was someone else entirely, someone who had broken free from those chains, who had let go of the emotional baggage that kept her stuck in the same place. Time and again, people come to me looking for answers. They seek me out, often with a sense of urgency or desperation, saying, "Dr. Joe, I need to talk to you." Their eyes are filled with the hope that I can give them the key to unlock the door to a different life. But here's the pattern I've observed when I ask them, "Are you doing the work?" The answer is often a hesitant no. They tell me their stories about how their lives are filled with obstacles, about how they can't seem to break through, about how they feel trapped. They believe that their problems are external, that the solution lies somewhere outside of them, perhaps in a change of location, a new job, or a different relationship. They think if only the circumstances would change, everything would be different. But the truth is much more profound. If you are caught up in the emotions of the problems affecting your life, if you are constantly analyzing your life within that emotional state, you are living in the past. Emotions are the byproducts of experiences, and when you continuously feel the same emotions, you are essentially reliving the same experiences over and over again. Those emotions drive the same circuits in your brain, reinforcing the same neural pathways and creating the same patterns of behavior. It's a cycle that perpetuates itself. When you wake up every morning feeling the same emotions and thinking the same thoughts, you set your brain to work in the same familiar ways. In that state of being, where you're ruled by the emotional patterns of the past, you can't see the solution. It's not that the solution isn't there, it's that you are blind to it because your mind is trapped in a loop. You are trying to create a new future while holding on to the emotions of the past. You're attempting to look forward through the lens of old experiences, expecting to find something new. It's like trying to drive to a new destination while constantly staring in the rearview mirror. The road ahead is there, but you can't see it because your focus is elsewhere. You're so caught up in analyzing why things are the way they are that you can't open yourself up to the possibilities of what could be. This is why doing the work is crucial. It's not about changing the external world, it's about changing the internal state of being. It's about becoming conscious of those emotional patterns, recognizing how they keep you stuck, and then making a deliberate effort to transcend them. When you step out of the habitual emotional states that have been governing your life, you open the door to new ways of thinking and being. You start to break the cycle. You create the space for new possibilities to enter your life because you are no longer anchored to the past. The woman who wanted to live in Santa Fe was clinging to a version of herself that was incompatible with the life she desired. She was holding on to the emotions, beliefs, and habits that kept her in the same place. The person who lives in Santa Fe, the one who has already crossed that river of change, is someone who has let go of the old emotional baggage and embraced a new state of mind. She has done the work to align her inner world with the life she wants to create. And that ultimately is the secret. It's not about where you are or what you have. It's about who you are willing to become. So what happens when you decide to take the journey with me to cross that river of change? It means stepping into the unknown, letting go of the familiar, and moving beyond the emotional self that has kept you anchored to your current reality. This journey requires you to rise above the automatic, reactive states of mind that you have lived in for so long. You must step away from the familiar feelings that have become so comfortable, even when they don't serve you. It's a call to transcend the emotional states that have defined your identity. The moment you do this, the moment you let go of the emotional baggage and the habitual thoughts that keep you locked in the past, you step into a new state of awareness. It's as if a veil is lifted and suddenly the answers that once seemed elusive become clear and evident. This is not just a mental exercise. It's not about positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. It's a deep, profound transformation of your entire being. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions all begin to shift in a cohesive, unified direction. Most of us spend our lives analyzing our problems from within the emotional states that created them in the first place. We become so immersed in the feelings of stress, fear, anxiety, or sadness that we can't see beyond them. We get stuck in these emotional loops where the mind obsesses over the problems, trying to solve them while still emotionally anchored to the very states that perpetuate them. It's like trying to untangle a knot by pulling at the same strands that are causing the knot. When you are emotionally entangled in your problems, your brain is driven further out of balance. You move into a state of survival where your focus narrows, your creativity diminishes, and your ability to perceive new possibilities becomes limited. In this state, your brain's resources are allocated to deal with immediate threats, whether real or imagined. It becomes difficult, if not impossible, to access the higher order thinking that allows for insight, creativity, and vision. But when you rise above these emotional states, when you step into a place of calm and presence, you begin to see that the solutions were always there, just waiting for you to align with them. We live in two primary states of mind: survival and creation. Survival mode is dominated by stress, a state where your body and mind are constantly on alert, prepared to respond to perceived threats. Stress occurs when your body is knocked out of balance, and it activates a primitive response designed to help you return to order. This response is deeply ingrained in us and has evolved over millions of years to keep us safe in times of danger. In survival mode, your body releases a cascade of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare you to fight or flee. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, and your senses become heightened. All of this happens to help you survive in the face of immediate danger. Stress can manifest in three primary ways: physical, chemical, and emotional. Physical stress includes injuries, accidents, and trauma that put a strain on your body. It's the kind of stress your ancestors experienced when escaping a predator or recovering from a physical injury. Chemical stress comes from toxins in the environment, poor diet, pollutants, or substances that disrupt your body's internal balance. It's the result of exposure to chemicals that alter your body's natural state, like heavy metals, pesticides, or even the processed foods that are so common in our modern diets. Emotional stress, however, is the one that most of us deal with on a daily basis. It's the stress that comes from the challenges of everyday life, relationship issues, work pressures, financial worries, and the constant demands that tug at your emotions. When stress becomes chronic, when you are constantly living in a state of fight or flight, it takes a significant toll on your body and mind. In this state, your brain and body are continually mobilizing energy to deal with perceived threats. Your body can't distinguish between a real, immediate danger, like being chased by a wild animal, and the imagined threats that dominate modern life, like worrying about a deadline or fretting over a difficult conversation. As a result, you remain in a heightened state of arousal where your energy is consumed by trying to manage and mitigate these threats. This chronic stress leads to a depletion of your internal resources. Your body begins to break down, your immune system weakens, and you become more susceptible to illness. When you're in survival mode, your body is focused on immediate survival rather than long-term growth and repair. Your creative energy is diverted away from your higher functions like innovation, inspiration, and personal growth, and instead is used to maintain the status quo. Your thoughts become repetitive, your emotions become habitual, and you get stuck in a cycle that perpetuates the very reality you wish to change. This is why it can feel so hard to break free from patterns of stress, worry, or fear. Your brain is wired to focus on what it perceives as threats, and in doing so, it reinforces those neural pathways, making it easier to return to those familiar states. But here's the thing, when you make the conscious choice to cross that river of change, to step out of survival mode and into a state of creation, you begin to tap into a different set of resources. You activate the higher centers of your brain that allow for abstract thinking, imagination, and creativity. You start to connect with a deeper sense of purpose and possibility that goes beyond mere survival. In this state, you are no longer driven by the past. You are no longer reacting to the world around you based on old conditioned responses. Instead, you are creating a new reality based on the vision of who you want to become. This is where true transformation happens. It's when you move beyond the emotional self and step into the realm of infinite possibilities that you begin to experience life in a whole new way. Imagine a deer in the woods, grazing peacefully amidst the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees. Suddenly it senses danger. A pack of coyotes has spotted it and begins the chase. In an instant, the deer's entire physiology changes. Its brain sends signals throughout its body to mobilize a massive amount of energy to facilitate its escape. Adrenaline floods its system, its heart begins to pound at a rapid pace, and blood is quickly shunted away from areas where it's not immediately needed, like the digestive system, to the muscles that will help it sprint to safety. The deer takes off, sprinting through the forest with every ounce of energy focused on survival. Its body is in a state of heightened alert, every muscle and fiber working in unison to evade the predators. This is short-term stress in action, a vital, adaptive response to a clear and present danger. Now, here's where nature is truly remarkable. If the deer successfully outruns the coyotes, within minutes, it begins to return to a state of calm. Its heart rate slows, its breathing eases, and it resumes grazing as if nothing had happened. The immediate threat has passed, and the deer's body instinctively shifts out of the fight or flight mode and back into a state of homeostasis. This ability to quickly ramp up the stress response when needed and then shut it down just as quickly is what allows the deer to survive without suffering long-term consequences. The stress response is an ancient evolutionary mechanism designed for short bursts of intense activity. In the wild, this mechanism works perfectly. It allows the deer to survive immediate dangers and then return to a balanced state. Humans, however, are different. Unlike the deer, which experiences stress as a response to real and immediate dangers, we have the unique ability to turn on the stress response with just a thought. We can replay stressful events in our minds over and over again as if they are happening in the present moment. We can anticipate future threats, forecast worst-case scenarios, and allow our imagination to conjure up all sorts of stressors that may or may not ever come to pass. Our brains do not distinguish between an actual physical threat and a perceived or imagined one. So when we dwell on negative thoughts or fears, our bodies respond as if we are being chased by those coyotes. As the adrenaline rushes, our heart rates increase, and our muscles tense up, preparing us to either fight or flee. But unlike the deer, which returns to a state of calm after the danger has passed, we often keep ourselves in this heightened state of arousal for extended periods. When we live in this state of prolonged stress, we begin to drain our energy reserves. The body has a finite amount of energy designed to be used for both immediate survival and long-term maintenance. In a healthy state, energy is allocated not just for responding to immediate threats, but also for growth, repair, and the internal processes that keep us functioning optimally. However, when we are constantly in a state of stress, all our energy is diverted towards dealing with perceived threats in our external environment. The body prioritizes immediate survival over everything else, which means that functions like digestion, immune response, cell regeneration, and other maintenance processes are put on the back burner. Over time, this creates an internal imbalance. The systems within the body begin to break down because they are not receiving the resources they need to function properly. This isn't just a metaphorical concept, it's a scientific fact. The long-term effects of stress hormones, such as cortisol, can deregulate and downregulate genes within the body. Chronic stress alters the genetic expression within our cells, affecting how they function and respond. This sets the stage for a variety of diseases, including heart disease, immune disorders, digestive issues, and even mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. When your body is in a state of constant emergency, it cannot maintain the delicate balance required for health and well-being. In essence, your thoughts can literally make you sick. They can create a state of dis-ease in the body, disrupting its natural harmony and leading to physical illness. However, this realization also holds a powerful key to healing. If your thoughts have the power to make you sick, then they also have the power to make you well. Just as the body responds to negative thoughts and stress with a cascade of biochemical changes, it can also respond to positive, elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, and love with healing and restoration. When you shift your focus from fear, worry, and stress to thoughts that elevate your state of being, you activate a different set of biological processes. Instead of the stress response, you trigger the relaxation response, which promotes healing, growth, and repair. Your body moves out of survival mode and into a state where it can return to homeostasis. The power of this mind-body connection is profound. It means that by consciously choosing your thoughts, you can influence your physical health. By practicing mindfulness, meditation, or any form of mental discipline that shifts your focus away from stress and towards positive emotions, you begin to change the chemical environment in your body. You reduce the production of stress hormones, allowing your body to divert energy back to vital functions like digestion, immune defense, and cellular repair. Over time, this can lead to significant improvements in your overall health and well-being. So, imagine what could happen if you made this shift a daily practice. If instead of allowing your thoughts to keep you in a state of constant emergency, you trained your mind to focus on thoughts that foster peace, balance, and positivity. Your body would respond accordingly, creating a state of wellness from the inside out. This is not just wishful thinking, it is the science of how your thoughts shape your reality, both mentally and physically. By taking control of your inner world, you gain the ability to influence your outer world, leading to a healthier, more balanced life. So how do you move from survival to creation? The first step is to make a conscious decision to step out of the familiar emotional territory of the past. This means becoming aware of the habitual thoughts and feelings that have been your constant companions, the ones that have shaped your perception of reality and kept you locked in the same patterns. You must become the observer of your own mind, noticing when you slip into those automatic reactive states that trigger stress and anxiety. It's a process of becoming aware of the emotional addictions that have defined you, whether it's fear, worry, guilt, or self-doubt, and then making a deliberate choice to break free from them. When you start this process, it can feel incredibly uncomfortable. This discomfort is natural because your body has been conditioned to the chemical rush of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Over time, your body has become addicted to these chemicals, and it craves them even when they are not serving you. When you begin to step away from these familiar emotional states, your body will resist. It will send you signals that urge you to return to what it knows. It will tell you that it's safer to stay in the familiar territory, even if that territory is filled with stress and limitation. Your mind will try to convince you to keep analyzing your life through the same lens, to continue focusing on the problems and worries that have kept you in a state of survival. This is where the real work begins. This is the moment when you must summon the courage to step into the unknown, to let go of the emotional addiction to stress and the need for certainty. It takes bravery to move beyond the comfort of the familiar and embrace the discomfort of change. But it is precisely in this space of uncertainty that true transformation happens. When you decide to break free from your habitual emotional patterns, you are choosing to disrupt the neural circuits in your brain that have kept you stuck. You are deciding to fire and wire new circuits, to create a new state of being that is not defined by your past. As you commit to this process, something profound begins to happen. You start to break the cycle of thinking and feeling in the same old ways. You begin to see possibilities that you couldn't see before, because you are no longer looking at life through the lens of your past experiences. Your perception expands, and you realize that you are not defined by your circumstances. You understand that you are not a victim of your environment, but rather a creator of your reality. In this state, you tap into the quantum field, a field of infinite possibilities where every potential reality already exists. You move from being a reactor to your environment to being the creator of your experience. This shift is not just a mental exercise, it is a transformation of your entire being. When you stop reacting to life and start creating from a place of intention and vision, you are no longer bound by the limitations of your past. You begin to operate from a higher level of consciousness, one that is not restricted by the habitual thoughts and emotions that have previously governed your life. In this state of creation, you are no longer waiting for something outside of you to change so that you can feel better. Instead, you are choosing to feel better now, to embody the energy of your desired reality, and in doing so, you draw that reality towards you. This is the essence of moving from survival to creation. It's a journey of stepping into the unknown, of allowing yourself to be guided by a vision of what you want to create rather than by the fear of what you want to avoid. It's about becoming so familiar with the elevated emotions of joy, love, and gratitude that they become your new default state of being. When you do this, you align your energy with the reality you want to manifest, and the quantum field responds in kind. You begin to attract experiences, people, and opportunities that are in harmony with your new state of being. It's important to recognize that this process requires practice and persistence. It's not a one-time event, but a daily commitment to choosing creation over survival. There will be times when you are tempted to revert to your old ways, when the stressors of life try to pull you back into survival mode. In those moments, you must remind yourself that you have the power to choose. You can choose to step back into the observer role, to detach from the emotional reactions that want to control you, and to refocus on your vision. As you continue to practice this, you will notice that your outer reality begins to shift. You start to experience synchronicities and events that seem almost magical in nature. This is the quantum field responding to your new state of being. You are no longer limited by the old story of who you were. You have stepped into a new chapter, one that you are consciously writing with every thought and emotion you choose to entertain. In this state of creation, you become the artist of your life, painting a masterpiece that reflects the truth of who you are, a powerful, limitless being capable of manifesting a reality that aligns with your highest vision. The key to this entire process is consistency and a willingness to embrace the unknown. It's about being so focused on the person you are becoming that the person you have been begins to fade away. You start to embody the energy of your future self in the present moment, and in doing so, you become a magnet for the life you desire. This is the journey from survival to creation, a journey that not only transforms your mind, but also your body, your life, and the very fabric of your reality. The ultimate mind-body connection lies in the profound realization that you possess the power to change your internal state regardless of your external circumstances. This is a fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself in the world. Most people believe that their emotions and thoughts are primarily reactions to what happens around them, but the truth is much more empowering. You are not at the mercy of external events, situations, or people. When you stop reacting to the world around you and start creating from within, you take back the reins of your life. This process is about moving away from the automatic conditioned responses that have been wired into your brain through years of repeated experiences. It is about consciously deciding to think and feel in a way that aligns with the reality you want to create. As you begin this process of internal change, you start to rewire your brain. The circuits that once fired automatically in response to stress, fear, and limitation gradually start to lose their power. Think of these circuits as well-worn paths in the forest of your mind. Every time you felt stressed, worried, or afraid, you reinforced these paths, making them easier and more automatic for your brain to follow. But now, as you consciously choose new thoughts and emotions, you are no longer walking those old paths. Instead, you are forging new ones. You are creating new neural connections that represent the person you wish to become. With time and practice, these new circuits grow stronger. They start to take precedence over the old ones, and the old patterns begin to fade. You become someone new, someone who is not defined by the past, but rather by the potential of the future. The journey to this kind of change is not always easy. It requires a deep commitment and a willingness to move beyond the comfort of the familiar. The familiar, after all, is what the brain craves. It prefers what is known, even if what is known is not what you desire. Your brain has been wired to seek out the same thoughts and emotions it has always known because on some level they feel safe, but this safety is an illusion. It keeps you in a loop of repetitive thoughts and behaviors that limit your growth and potential. To truly change, you must step out of this comfort zone and into the unknown. You must be willing to face the discomfort of breaking free from the emotional chains of the past. As you do this work, you begin to cross the river of change. This metaphorical river is the space between your old self and your new self. It is the space where transformation happens. The crossing is not without its challenges. The current may pull at you, urging you to return to the safety of the shore you know so well. But with each step you take, you gain strength. You start to feel the shift within you as the new circuits in your brain become more established. The old voices of fear and doubt become quieter, and the voice of your future self grows louder. You start to see the world through new eyes, not as a place full of obstacles and limitations, but as a field of infinite possibilities. In this new reality, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your life. You understand that the power to change your life does not lie in changing the world around you, but in changing the world within you. You realize that every thought you think, every emotion you feel is a choice. And with each choice, you are shaping the reality you experience. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You find that you are no longer easily swayed by the events around you. Instead of reacting to the world, you respond from a place of inner power and clarity. As you continue this journey of self-transformation, you will begin to discover something incredible. You will find that the answers you have been searching for were always within you. They were not outside, in the circumstances you thought needed to change, but inside, waiting for you to recognize them. You realized that the peace, joy, and fulfillment you sought were not dependent on external factors, but were states of being you could choose at any moment. This realization brings a profound sense of freedom. You understand that you are not defined by your past, nor are you limited by it. You are a limitless being capable of creating a life that reflects the deepest desires of your heart. The beauty of this journey is that it is ongoing. Each day offers a new opportunity to reinforce the new circuits you have created, to continue building the new you. And with each passing day, you become more adept at navigating the river of change. You learn to trust the process, to embrace the discomfort as a sign that you are growing. You start to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen your inner state. You become a master of your own mind, no longer swayed by the external world, but guided by the internal compass you have cultivated. In this state, you are not just living, you are creating. You are actively shaping your reality with every thought, every emotion, every intention. You understand that you are a powerful creator, and your life is a reflection of what you hold in your mind and heart. The external world becomes a mirror reflecting back to you the internal changes you have made. You begin to attract new experiences, people, and opportunities that align with your higher state of being. Life starts to flow with a sense of ease and grace that was once unimaginable. And as you look back, you realize that the journey was not about changing the world, but about changing yourself. The answers, the solutions, the path forward were always within you, waiting for you to see them.